So, okay, people, I'm having one of those sleepless nights. So, let's do a tarot tag. Okay? I'm going to be doing tarot sins. So, let's just jump on in. So, the first prompt is I bought a deck because I liked one card in it. And that's this deck. Why is it so bright in here? So, okay. Not going to be able to do anything about that. Okay. So it's actually two cards in here I saw. And I said, man alive, I have to have this. So it's Tarot Noir. Now, please keep in mind that my decks are older. Way older. I don't have a lot of decks that are new or recent on the market. I have a few, but not many. Most of mine are old, like this one. And these are the two cards that I saw that got my curiosity up about this deck. This one is the Devil. This deck is in French, by the way. So, let me take this off here. And this is the Death card. And I just thought that they were so creepy that I had to have them. And the rest of the deck, it's a pip deck. Here's the backs. And the rest of them are very interesting looking also. And the one thing I don't like about this deck is its size. These things are huge. It's almost the size of my hand. See? But it's a very interesting deck. And it comes with a book. Check out this book. This was like, how long ago did I buy this book? Maybe 20 years ago? Full page illustrations. And the guidebook is written in French. And I just recently translated a book from Italian to English, a guidebook, because I wanted to see what it said. And it took me quite a while. Because I think I printed it out was the thing. I transferred it on in English so I could have it. I think that's what I did. That's why it took so long, rather than just read it. And this would take like forever because look at this. It's there's a lot of words in there to translate. So I don't know if I'll ever do it, but that's the deck I got because I liked one or two cards in it. The next one is, the next prompt is, I judged a deck by its box, so I bought it. 0. I have never done that. Never. So, I have a deck on my shelf that has not been shuffled in at least a year. Pull a card and ask if it's mad at you. Okay. That would be Vision Quest. It's based on Native American spirituality. And I don't know if I told this story before. I think I did. When I lived out in Oregon, I worked a second job to have some extra money. And it was at a newspaper. And there was a guy there big honky honk. He had his own little office in the newspaper there. And he was Italian and I was Italian. And there ain't a lot of Italians in Oregon. Maybe now, but back then there weren't. So when we met each other, he was an older guy. He asked me out. He said, and what is that award that they get? Anyway, he won some, I forget the name of the award for an article he did. But it's like big time award, but I'm not into all that stuff, so I don't know. But anyway, he said to me, I have to do an article on a powwow. Would you like to come with me? And I said, oh, sure. So I went with him, and that's when I fell in love with Native Americans, and I should say First Nations, I believe they prefer to be called. And I did not want to leave there. He had to drag me out of that powwow. And since that time, I have been to several powwows in Pennsylvania. I've been to, since I went to Florida, I've been to one here, but this little town, it sucks. It was nothing. So anyway, I miss going to powwow, big ones. It's really, if you get the chance, it's really, I liked it. Anyway, so I'm supposed to shuffle the deck. Pull a card and ask if it's mad at me. Okay, guys. Hear me shuffling? I can't reach this far. Okay, I'm going to pull one. Are you mad at me? Fire of air. Fear. Well, I wonder what this says in here. Fire of air. That's, I forget, it's been so long, I forget how they do this now. Wait a minute. 5 of air, I'm sorry. So I would say, yeah, probably. You're probably mad at me. So yeah, I guess. But so that means I have to start paying attention to you. Look at this card. Isn't it beautiful? Yeah. So yeah, I haven't shuffled this in a year. And I guess it's mad at me. Oops. Okay. I made a mod to a deck, and I regret it, or I regret nothing. That's this one. Let me see. I gotta move this up some. It's still even. This is a big box. This is an old deck, out of print, and I gotta see. Let me see something. The Vampire Tarot by Robert M. Place.
There isn't an Empire Tarot by Robert M. Place.
No.
Perhaps.
The Vampire Tarot by Robert M. Place. There.
The Vampire Tarot by Robert M. Place is a book with illustrations and a 78-card tarot deck. Published in June 2009, it combines vampire stories, beginning with Dracula, with the Rider-Waite-Coleman tarot symbolism.
I don't know if you can, that's blurry. 195 to 363. So you can get it. Oh, here's more. Here's one for 196. 456, 250, 1,000. No. Okay, so the prices are going to vary. And I had to take notes because this guidebook that came with it explains everything about this deck and tarot. It gives a history of tarot in it, and it explains who these characters are. Okay, so look at this. This is how the cards took up this whole space before I modded it. This was one of the first mods I did, and I wish I had waited. But the cards are probably the size of a regular tarot card now. But they were huge. I mean, I couldn't even handle them. And I really wanted to read with them. And it was a useless, great big white border, which I hated. I hated them, hated it. As a collector, I'm sorry that I trimmed it. But the cards look wonderful now. They really stand out. They really they really pop. And I can handle them with my little baby hands. This deck is, for me, it's hard to read with because he changed all the names and all the suits. So it's kind of hard to keep track of what the hell you're doing. They do have pictures on them, like you'd know that was swords. The garlic was it pentacles, I think. And there's Edgar Allan Poe. There's the death card, tarot card, and this must be, I don't know. See, I can't remember. And it's really these cards that get me. See, Robert Place took all the characters from the history of tarot and the vampire series and movies, and he put them all into this deck, both of them, tarot history and vampire movie history. They're all in here. All the names have been changed. They're not, let me see. And this card could be quite spooky, I think. Let me see, hold on. See, this is the Knave of Knives. And he puts the name on here, who the person was. The Nightmare of Life and Death. Sir Henry Irving. I forget that this guy had to do with it. So it's between all the suits changing and the names changing, all the court cards changing. It was, for me, it's like a bit much. See, look at that's pretty disturbing, isn't it? This is what is this guy's name? I forget. Polidori. Look at this guy. That's the madman from the movie. And this is Samuel Taylor. But these people are all connected to either the vampire movie or to tarot. And so, but I love the deck, but I just find it hard to read with because I gotta like transform everything. And the cards were huge. So I trimmed them and I colored it too. These are the backs. And considering I didn't use a good method. I just followed the borders. It's pretty even up here. So it's really a quality deck. And I'd say if you can, look at this guidebook. If you can find it at a decent price that you're willing to pay for it, I say it's worth it. This is not, and it's a collector's item. So, do I regret it? Chopping off the borders? As a collector, yes. As a tarot reader, no. So, there's that. I have hidden or not told my partner about a deck purchase. So because I don't have a partner, I switched that question to, what deck did I buy that I knew I didn't need? That's this one. And why didn't I need it? Because I already had one. I just wanted this one because I'm a super huge fan of Baba Studios. That's their introductory card or something, I don't know. And I have the original. I don't want to say I have the first edition, but I have the original one. What is that doing in here? That didn't come on in here. But this one had the gold stamping. And I didn't need it because, like I said, I already had it. So, what is this doing over here? Let me move this back over here a little bit. Oh, this is much better. Nope. And, let me see if I could find them. It's pretty. Look how pretty this is. Look. So I shouldn't have bought it because I already had it. Man, these things, after handling some of the cards, these things feel like butter. It's just freaking amazing. Baba Studio puts out some super quality stuff. Their decks are expensive, but her guidebooks are amazing. I always found it interesting that in reading her guidebooks that she knew so much about tarot and the history behind the deck that she was creating, that she never offered to do readings. But that's probably a deck I didn't have to buy, but I did. I think this deck hates me or I hate it. Draw a card and ask the deck why you haven't connected. Oh, this is a goodie. I absolutely hate this deck. So, years ago, I hung out. There is a local tarot reader here that's about a half an hour from me, and she is pretty damn famous. And so I took a class from her, and she offered these kind of get-togethers on tarot that I went to for a while. And there is a tarot conference in Oregon, yeah, where I used to live, and a big one. And she goes there every year. And so, after getting to know her, I said I lived in Oregon for like 20 years. She said, why don't you come with me to the conference in Oregon? Because she was a presenter there. And I said, yeah, okay. So I went with her to this conference. And I was expecting her to hang out with me since she invited me. Well, she didn't. She had some old friends that she hung out with there. And I guess she went to her room and did some readings for pay, because that's what she does. She's a professional tarot reader. And she practically ignored me, so I was pretty much on my own. And that didn't make it very pleasant. And then I actually didn't like this seminar or conference, whatever it was. And I started a big kerfuffle, I guess, because they asked me my opinion and I told them, and they didn't like it. And neither did she. She didn't like the fact that I opened my mouth and I said, I think it sucks. So anyway, while I was there, I met this lady that was from, she's an American living in Germany, and she came back to the States to attend this conference. And she and I hung out together, and she went to this one class. This author was offering a class on his deck, and she went to that class and I didn't. I went to a different class, but she told me this guy's class was so good and she loved it, so I bought the deck. I started to flip through it, and I hated this deck. I hate it. Here's the book. Here's the back. I think the artwork is very nice. That is not the issue for me. I've been tempted to, matter of fact, the artwork is quite nice. I've been tempted to just wipe it out and change it to an oracle and just put my own thing on it, because I'll never use this as a tarot deck. Never. That's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And why do I hate it? Because it's liberal, it's woke, it's progressive. The whole thing reeks of it. And I don't like that philosophy to begin with. But then to be preached at and have it in a tarot deck and have a tarot deck preach to me about it, that ain't happening. So I don't have to shuffle it and ask why I don't connect with it. I don't connect with it because it just stands for everything I disagree with. I'm sorry if you people don't like it, but I'm a Republican and I'm going to stay a Republican. Unless and until the Democrats come back to some kind of sanity and they offer me something that the Republicans aren't. In that case, I'm open-minded enough to switch, and but for right now, the Republicans are offering me things that I agree with, and I don't like the way. I don't like being preached at about it either. You can have your own opinion, that's fine, but and sure, I talk about it on here, but that's because I feel like I have to I have to do a rebuttal to people that are woke. But other than that, I don't go out in the street and try to convince somebody to become a Republican. Unless it happens like organically and somebody brings it up, you know what I mean? I don't purposely go out and protest and try to make a point to whoever. I mean, if you want to believe in left-hand progressive stuff, go ahead. But you'll never find me there. So, but every time I look at this deck, that's what it reminds me of. It's such a shame because the artwork really is nice. So I think I'm going to have to modify it big time and change it into an oracle deck. That's what I think I'm going to have to do. I even tried to sell it and nobody bought it. So this deck probably didn't go anywhere. I don't read with this deck much. It's too pretty. Please don't make me shuffle it. Okay, so I don't have a lot of like pretty decks, but I do have one that I think is Sure, I have pretty decks, but not nothing stunning, I don't think. But I think this is some pretty stuff. What's the name of this damn deck? I forget. Oh, the Victorian Flower Oracle. This is another Baba Studio deck. And I just think these images are really... Well, I guess I picked it out because it's so feminine. You know, for my own self, I very rarely wear a dress anymore, and I'm trying to get back into it because I feel like I want to feel womanly. And, you know, as a single woman, you find yourself doing things that is, you know, kind of sort of masculine on the masculine side. And sometimes I just feel like and even when I was working, I felt like a workhorse. You know, like I have to mow the lawn and I have to like do some physical things around the house. I have to fix some things and hammer and screw and take things apart, figure out how they work and do that kind of crap. And that's fine. I really enjoy that kind of stuff, but I also enjoy feeling like a woman. And I think in today's society, a lot of women don't wear dresses anymore. And with everything being crazy as it is, like you see a lot of vulgarity, and I can be vulgar at times, I admit it, but there's the vulgarity has crossed the line, in my opinion, that you want something a little bit, at least for me, I want something, it makes me want to do the opposite. It makes me want to become modest in my dress because I don't want to have nothing to do with that kind of crap. It's just ugly. But this deck is so feminine and so soft and so pretty, and I really don't use it much. And one of the reasons is because, and there's no reason why I couldn't, because they do have really good keywords down there. But for me, it's just, this deck is just something to be kind of admired, you know what I mean? So, I have shuffled it though. My biggest sin is asking my decks a question multiple times. What was that question? Ask a deck now to see what it answers. How will your YouTube live course go? All right. I'm going to use this deck simply because the deck that I do normally use to ask this question is it would have to be double duty, this question and the next. So I don't want to do double duty. Okay, so when I had my old channel, I explained and told a story about my family kind of. I moved away when I was 18. Originally, I'm from New York, just north of the Bronx. And I told you, matter of fact, my block was split in half. If I walked to my backyard and crossed into my neighbor's yard, then I would be in the Bronx. I was raised there. And after I got married young at like 18, right out of high school, and I moved to California. Now, what was the point of me telling you? Oh, so I lived out of state. I lived on the West Coast. Then I moved to Oregon. I was living in Oregon at the time when my mother got sick. I'm going to cut to the chase. I'm not going to tell you the really long story about it, but my mother I'm I'm a very sensitive person. I'm an intense person. My feelings really go deep and they go strong and sometimes they even go wild. And that gets me into trouble sometimes, so I try to watch it. But anyway, let me see, what do I want to say about this? So I told you before my parents were violent people and they always had physical fights and that kind of stuff. And me and my siblings were witness to that. And yeah, it kind of screwed us up in one way or another. We all have our issues now. But that's just a side note, just in case you were curious. Yeah, we do have issues and problems. So in watching this, I don't know if that made me intense and sensitive or if I was that way naturally. I don't know. But I was really, and people have told me that I'm an empath. I've had this argument with people over and over and over again. I don't consider myself an empath. An empath should be able to walk into a room, not know a person, point to a person and say, that person is feeling depressed. They should be able to pick up on other people's emotions and what they're feeling with no other indications, no outward indications of what they're feeling. So people said I'm an empath because I feel things deeply. Like one time I said, I was making a YouTube on my old channel, and I was saying that I had watched a video on the women in Afghanistan, and I got really depressed, and I was crying, and I was upset, and I was just like, I don't even want to face the world after watching this video. And somebody said to me, oh, you're an empath. No, 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 no. I can't walk into a room and tell you how you're feeling without you giving me some indication. That's the way I was taught. I don't know if that's right, but that's the way I was taught. Everybody thinks if you have feelings of empathy that you're an empath. No, not in this sense. But anyway, my sister told me that I had been really connected emotionally to my mother because when my mother died, I opened my big mouth to my siblings and I said, I don't think she wants to be buried with Dad. Don't put her in there. I don't think she wants that. And I did open my mouth about that kind of stuff. And I just kind of knew stuff about my mother, the way she was feeling. I was very aware of it. And I don't think it was because I was empathic. I think it was just being a keen observer and putting myself in her shoes. You know what I mean? So my sister said that my sister told me that I knew things about my mother that she didn't know. Now, my sister she's not very intuitive or anything like that. She's more really based in, the physical here and now. I'm not. So, and since as an adult, I never lived close to my mother, I always felt like my mother wanted to tell me something. And she died without me and her ever having this conversation. Now, I feel like she wanted to tell me something important. And it's not that the man that raised me is not my father, because I look just like him. So it's not that. But there's something else that she wanted to tell me, and she never got the chance to. I've asked the cards this several times. I've done rituals on it. I've asked other mediums, one other medium, what the heck was my mother? What did she want me to know? And I never get a straight answer that makes any sense to me. So let's do it. I've asked my deck this several times. And the question is, what was it that my mother wanted me to know? It's just pulling. The Ace of Cups. Now, this is interesting because my mother, me and my father didn't get along. I mean, he used to challenge me and I would challenge him back, and he did not like that. And he used to like slap me around a little and do that kind of stuff. And I was terrified of him, actually. And my mother used to come to me and sneak. She used to sneak and come to me and say, I know you think your father doesn't love you, but he does. So maybe I wonder if she's just repeating that. Maybe as an adult, she felt like I should hear it. I don't know. But I find it interesting that an Ace of Cups comes up when I always felt like my father didn't care about me, love me, whatever. So let's not dwell on that because it'll put me in another kind of mood. What deck knows most of your deep, intimate secrets and situations? This is a deck you have confessed or confided in. Okay. That has to be the Druid craft. So I relate to this deck on a spiritual level that I do with no other. But I have to say, what I don't like about this deck is the size of this damn thing. See, I have my little baby hands and my little tiny wrists, and it's hard for me to shuffle any deck. Any deck I have trouble shuffling in because my hands are so small. And look how big this is. But when I have a serious question or something very important, and not just something out of curiosity or something like that, it's this deck, because I see myself as very pagan. I'm very pagan. The only thing I'm not pagan about is that I really suck at it. In my heart, I'm very pagan, but I'm not pagan enough to invite creatures and bugs and shit into my house. I'm not that kind of pagan. I was born and raised in the city, you know what I mean? And so, but as far as like spirituality and connecting with Earth, when I was in Oregon, and this is another thing, when I was in Oregon, I lived there for 20 years. After I got divorced, I made new friends and that kind of thing. And I started hiking. And I've hiked all over Mount Hood. I've hiked on, and if you're interested, I hiked, my first hike is now an infamous hike, and it's on YouTube. It's the Eagle Creek hike, and it's about a murder, actually, that happened on that hike, on that trail. But that happened way after I left Oregon. That's maybe within the last, I don't know, maybe 10 years. Yeah, something like that. But it's interesting because you know that this man is freaking lying, that he really murdered his wife. But if you're interested in seeing what the hike was like, my first hike and one of my favorite hikes, and you want to see some beautiful scenery, watch it on YouTube. It's now there are several YouTube videos on Eagle Creek in Oregon, but go to the murder one if you want, or you can watch the other ones and just watch some beautiful scenery. And so when I started hiking, when I was hiking in Oregon, and this sounds weird because, and this is what I think makes me so pagan, is that the happiest time in my life, I was in a hiking club, and sure, there were people along, but we didn't connect in very personal ways. We connected about like the leader knew a lot. There were two leaders, and they knew a lot about plants and herbs and animals and tracking and all. And that's what our conversation was. It wasn't really personal, but that was the happiest time in my life. I felt so at peace in those mountains that I've never felt before or since. And that's why I relate to these cards so well, because it just reminds me of being that way. Now, I got to tell you, if I wouldn't feel so weird. See, I was raised like right out of New York City. My father and grandfather owned a dress factory in the garment district. And so appearance and clothes and all that kind of crap, and Italy is like that anyway, played a really big part in our life. Even though we were poor, it still meant a lot. And so get your hair done, get your nails done, always look well groomed and dressed and fashion, this kind of crap. That's the way I was raised. But if I could dress like this, if I didn't feel so funny going out in public, I would dress like this all the time. All the time. Anyway, this deck is very pagan, and that's me, and I didn't mean to go down that rabbit hole. This is a great deck. I love this damn deck. And it comes with a really good guidebook too. I have two or three of these, because the first one I bought, I said, there's no way I'm going to be able to shuffle these cards. So I tried to trim it. And the one thing I have to tell you about this deck, don't trim these cards. Because these borders, you can't use the borders as a guide to cut them, because all the borders are off. They're not flush with it. They're not even and flush and square within the one card, and they surely aren't flush and square with the rest of the cards. You're going to end up with all the crooked mess. So don't trim this. That's my advice. Don't trim this deck. So I ruined that deck. I think I threw it away actually, and I bought another one. And then someone gave me one. So that deck knows my intimate secrets. Oh, confess to an unpopular opinion that you have about anything tarot or tarot tube related. You really want to go down that rabbit hole? Okay, I'm going to tell you real quick. My battle with Kellyanne Maddox. I cannot stand that woman. I cannot stand that woman. And there's another one, and she's supposedly Italian. She lives in the UK, and she's half Arabic or something. And they're both so left. They have gone so left that they've come clear around and they're doubling around. And the UK is in a really sad state now with these Muslims. Sad. The UK is all but taken over. And, Kellyanne Maddox, like I said before, I'd hate to see anybody killed. I don't want to see anybody killed. I don't want the Palestinians to be killed. But you know what? They're Muslims. And they don't stand up. And they don't, you know what I mean? They don't, So anyway, to cut to the chase, to me, by extension, Kellyanne is supporting a terrorist group, Hamas. That's my opinion. That's the way I feel about Kellyanne Maddox. And for her to be so concerned about that, and she doesn't say shit about the women in Afghanistan. I think her morals are screwed up. I think she's got daddy issues. I hate all these freaking lefty tarot people and witches and think just because you're a witch you got to be a lefty progressive commie. That's not me. Like I said, while I hate to see people get killed, but it's a war. I grew up watching the Vietnam War on TV, and that made me so fucking depressed, you have no idea. And sometimes I even wonder if that was the catalyst that set off like a chain reaction of depressions on and off that I felt throughout my life. And I still get that way once in a while, but I know how to fight it now. But most of my life, I did not know how to fight it. So I grew up watching freaking Vietnam War on TV, and I hate war. But you can't assume just because that you're kind to somebody that they're going to be kind to you. Like if you give somebody, if you meet somebody on the street and they say, I'm hungry, I have no money, and you go, oh, wait. Here, let me give you some money. I'll give you $25. Like normal people would say, thank you so much, and I'm going to buy myself something good to eat and drink, blah, blah, blah. But there are a lot of people that would say, oh, well, you have 100. I want it all. Now give it all to me. So, I mean, wars are going to happen. And I'm sorry, I don't like it any more than you do. But I'm not going to sacrifice myself and my children and future generations to the detriment of their safekeeping and their lives. I'm not going to do that. And that's what I think a lot of these lefty loonies do. I just hate these freaking lefty loonies on Tarot Tube. I hate them. I started not to watch so much, and I did get some peace by finding and realizing that Kelly, and that's another thing, is that with Kellyanne, her popularity has gone straight to her fucking head. She really thinks she's God. You know, she would deny that, but I seen the way that she talks to some of her viewers and stuff, and it's just, I don't know, I just don't like her. I think she's arrogant. That's the word I'm looking for. She's arrogant. This other Italian lady, I don't think she's arrogant a little bit, but not too much. But Kellyanne Maddox is really arrogant. I can't stand her. And this other lady, what's her name? Not the active witch, the reactive witch, what do you call it when the activism witch? First words out of her mouth, we're putting her on the tube. Yeah, so I was born and raised in Italy. I live in the UK now, and I'm half Arab, so I'm not white. And and she is always like, she's one of these permanent victims. And her skin is as white as mine, if not it's whiter. And it just seems so disingenuous to me to make that kind of claim. And they just make me sick, both of them. I just can't. But Kellyanne Maddox is the one that really sticks in my craw. I hate all the lefties. There's other ones too, but at least they're not trying to shove it down your throat. They tried, and I balked at them, and they didn't continue, thank goodness. But if you're going to be putting shit out like that, I'm probably going to be putting my own shit out. So I hate that Tarot Tube shit when they're lefty loonies. They're destroying their own party, whether they realize it or not. But anyway, let me shut up. A deck you love but other people didn't like. Oh, I showed you this before, but this question goes right to the core of this stuff. That's this deck. Oh God, what's the name of this damn deck again? I forget. The Medieval Scapini, and it's by Luigi Scapini. This deck is really funny. It cracks me up. I think people don't like it because, first of all, it's kind of it's yellowish, it's beige, off-white, so it doesn't pop, you know what I mean? But I think it's hysterical. I think it's hysterical. And I've told you before, you have to really get to know this deck to realize what's going on in the pictures, and it can be really serious too. It's not just that; it's that like they do a lot of like symbolism in here, but this doesn't come with a book. You have to. There's a book that a tarot reader put together that goes into detail about it, and that's the book you need, and I forget what it's called, but there's so much detail in it. And it's kind of and I love this. It's the Papez. I love her. And where's that other one? There's one card in here that when I looked at it, and this is the way I found out about this card, if I can find it, I said, there is something really ridiculous looking about this one card. I better not get into it in this thing. I better not. If you're one of those people that read and pick scenes out and colors out of the deck, this would work. Not too many people appreciate this deck, I gotta say, but I freaking love it. Okay. Luigi Scapini did, I think, one on the gnomes. And something else. The one on the gnomes is a funny one, too. A deck you confess that you have misjudged until you got it and read with it. I have to say that about this whole author. This whole deck, I totally misjudged. I have several of her decks now. I think there's only one that I don't have. And so in looking at this, you look at this thing and you see the big eyes and the doll kind of image. But when you read this, when you read the key words, you go, oh, she's really making a point here. And she's really good in the guidebook, too. So her other one is La Vampire. Yeah, that one is really good. But even these are good. This says, love is strange, isn't it? This is like the title of the card, but this is like the keywords, healing from heartache. And she really gets her point across, you know what I mean? Magical space clearing time. Death and the Maiden, invasion, boundaries violated, and dominance. Holding on way too tight. Guidance, but where will it lead you? Sweet memories. Ah, the absinthe fairy. Intoxication, distorted view, overindulgence. Be your true self. Clean up time. From death comes rebirth. And all of these are really, they're very good. And I think she really gets a bad rap on this. I mean, not that she isn't popular, because she is, because there's several of us that came to know her and love her stuff. But a lot of people won't even give it a chance. They should really check out Lucy Cavendish's Big Eye decks, because they're not anything to play with, even though it looks like it. Because when I bought this deck, I just bought it, I looked at it, and I put it aside. I didn't get into it. And then some tarot reader was saying something about it, and I thought, I better have a closer look at that deck. So I did, and I love it. So that is oh God, it's been like an hour? I think I've been up since midnight, and it's 5 o'clock now. No, it's 5:30. This is going to be a very tiring day. Anyway, so thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed at least some of it, and I'll talk to you later.